as I was preparing for this reading, I wasn't sure what message was going to come through right now. And what I was hearing was, whatever it is that you were thinking about, you were right, okay? And I think this can apply very broadly, but the energy that I'm receiving here right now is that it's like somebody in childhood messages come up a lot for me over here. So if you resonate with, maybe having a more unique childhood, then you might resonate as being a part of my collective. But I'm getting the idea of like a child that was like, I'm gonna do this one day. I'm gonna be like an actress one day. I'm gonna be a singer one day. I'm gonna be an artist. I'm gonna be a poet. I'm gonna be big one day. I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna be a spiritual healer, just something like that, something in childhood that we're kind of told is like not the way to go, And so I just kind of listed off like several things that are like typically not the way to go, right? And you're told that like you can't do that, right? That's the energy here. And then you grow up and you're like, no, I can do that, right? And so whatever that is for you, whatever that thing is that's like people told you couldn't do it, you were right. And spirit wants to know that you were right. Like you were right, and you've always known that. Very deep innate knowing with this collective. Highly intuitive people from childhood as well. I'm also thinking like very much people that like as a kid didn't really vibe with like the way that things were. You might have like gone off on your own a lot, like didn't play with other people, neurodivergent collective. And it's because you knew that wasn't as important as a part of your path as the growth of self, okay? Like you didn't value maybe grades as much in school, but you valued, don't know what that word is, you valued the growth that school might have provided for you, in that era of your life, right? You might have learned more from the people in your school. There's a person outside that scared the crap out of me. I got this new neighbor and she's always outside. Okay, so we pulled 3 cards here. And we have a new romantic cycle begins. Okay, sorry. We have new moon in Libra. Now, I want to make it very clear this card doesn't always mean what the card says, especially if we think of Libra energy. Libra is fairness, perhaps a new cycle of justice, a new cycle where things feel more romantic in life, not even necessarily smoochy, but it definitely can be. But an era of your life where you feel more romantic in the sense of, like, if we think of, like, a romantic aesthetic and how soft and flowy and how, like, beautiful, like, I also think of how, especially, like, Venusian ruled signs, Taurus, Libra, can be very, like, they have an eye for, like, the soft things, the beautiful things, the aesthetic things in life. So there might be like a aesthetic change, but also a way that, like, almost I'm kind of thinking of like getting a lifestyle that like other people go like, how do you do that? Like, you're so put together and you're like, I'm actually not put together. I'm actually just flowing with the way that I am, like I'm working with the flow. I'm not working against it, right? And then we have it, take time to breathe out and out. I don't know why I said that like that. Take time to breathe out and what do you need to release. So you're definitely entering a softer era of your life. I'm feeling very called to read from the book for that new romantic cycle card because I need to receive whatever that message is before I can move on to these other cards. Avoid being selfish. It won't get you anywhere at this time. Reach out to someone and let them know that you care. Marriage or engagement is on the cards. A legal matter will go your way. Pay some attention to your appearance, but don't be all about appearances. Libra is the sign of love and harmony. It is harmonious, kind, and luxurious, always aiming for balance. A restart possible for anything and everything connected to partnerships, negotiations, appearances, and justice. I'm having a very hard time talking today. I'm so sorry. This is my... The overall message of that card is rebalancing. Rebalancing in some era of your life or aspect of your life. I think era is also important as well in the sense that, like, if we think of a rebalancing of, like, we go through, like, a really intense period and then we kind of need to rebalance with, like, a softer period as well. Again, especially clarified by these cards, take time to breathe out and what do you need to release, right? And so I'm going to look at this card right now. What do we need to release? Waning moon. So the waning moon is always a time to let go of things as we transition moon cycles. And it's also in the winter. So the winter of that card, the winter scenery, is actually very important to the meaning of that card because, oh, this is actually interesting. Oh, okay. So I woke up usually when I do my life, I wake up and receive messages, and then I write them down, and then I bring them to the table here. And I wasn't sure what message this reading was going to lead into, but now I know. When I woke up this morning, I heard that you are in the spring of your life, and this is actually drawing back to a poem in a, like, you can call it like a music video, short film, Ride by Lana Del Rey. And in the poem, she says, I was in the winter of my life, and the men that I met along the road were my only summer. So I'm just thinking of that imagery of, like, when you think of what those words invoke, the feeling that those words invoke, being in the winter of your life, and meeting people being your summer. So with this, winter is a transitionary period. It's a period where things die, things become dormant. And we're forced to retreat inward. We're forced to retreat back to our roots. We can't bloom in that season. And it's still very important. It's very important to the world. It's the way that the world, operates and runs. We cannot bloom full season, I have lilac trees in my backyard. They only bloom for like a week and then they die, right? And that's just the way that they go. And I'm very grateful for them when they are here. But unfortunately, they don't last very long. And that's okay. So you might have been in this winter of your life, right? And now you're kind of coming into it, right? Because spring follows winter. That was the message that I received this morning. I heard you're in the spring of your life. You're in the spring of your life. And I thought it was for me. God forbid a girl receive a message about herself once in a while. But no, it probably is for me. I'm the head of the collective here. Pretty much every message I receive for the collective applies to myself in some way. And so what do we need to release? Perhaps what we need to release is the release itself. Ooh, that's poetic. No. But by that I mean it's like you might have gone through a period of time where you resonated with it being called the winter of your life, right? You had to be dormant, and now it's time to enter that spring era, right? Take time to breathe out. So interesting, it says here, you should know where you stand either now or very soon. So the disseminating moon is the first moon phase after the explosion of energy that comes with the full moon. So it's starting to, go back into the new moon. No matter when you pick this card, it suggests you're at a more tranquil point in the life cycle of whatever situation you're asking about. Take time to breathe out, give yourself some time off, and think about what has passed. Okay, interesting. And it's interesting because that is also resonant with that kind of winter energy, is it's like you're not quite at that full moon. If we think of the full moon in seasons, I would resonate with that being as like a summer. And you're in that in between, right? You're in that spring era where things are starting to bloom. And you're starting to bloom in the sense that like you can rest easily while also being expressive. I feel like though the biggest part of this is you should know where you stand either now or very soon. That's like a very important message here for somebody. That again, spring, it's like you're not quite there, you're not quite at that summer season, you're not quite at that peak right now, but you're close, like you're not quite at that like the like fun of the summer season, where it's like you're off on summer break, you're swimming, you're doing all this stuff. You're not quite there yet. And I think of spring as a very personal time for the self. That's the time that we take to, spring cleaning, clean our house out, emotionally clean, I think spring is a very rejuvenating and refreshing time. And so I think this is an inward focus with that spring as we bloom for ourselves, and then go out into the world and spend time with others, especially with that new moon in Libra card at the beginning there. That is a heavy sign of rebalancing, reconnection. When I think of Libra, I often think of second chances. Libras are very like fair, and they will give you more opportunities. I think more so than like other signs. But of course, all signs are, we all have different attributes, and we can all experience different attributes. Charts are huge, right? But the overall energy of Libra energy is very forgiving, it's very balancing, it's very fair, right? So a second chance at something might be on the cards here, literally, because I'm reading cards. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna pull a tarot card here. One tarot card. Can I get one tarot card, please? Yes, you can. And I'm gonna cut the deck. And I'm gonna pull what's on top. Oh, interesting. 3 of Wands. Yes, expansion. Oh, this card just flipped out as well. We got double three. Double three, 333 might be significant. I'm also hearing 313 or 331, like in aspects of that, like 3 with ones, 311, 3133, all those times significant. Actually in the time right now it's 11:33, so yeah. But we have the 3 of Wands and the 3 of Pentacles. So 3 of Pentacles is also teamwork as well, which is interesting. Again, pairing with that new moon in Libra, which, you know, new romantic cycle begins. But when I usually think of the 3 of Pentacles as the business partners card, you know, there's a man and he's drawing up plans. He's an architect and they're rebuilding like a church. That's how I interpret it, as at least, is that they're rebuilding a church. They're replanning like a cathedral, and the other two are pitching in. But the main guy, you know, he's got the blueprints in his hands. So 3 of Wands is also like expansion, looking out into the vast land that you can explore, right? So there might be planning, new exploration, you know, expanding the blueprint, changing the blueprint, shifting the paradigm, you know, stuff like that here with this collective. And, you know, at this time, if you are considering pursuing something with other people, this is feeling very important. This is feeling very important as I'm talking about it. Considering pursuing relationships with other people, whether that be romantic, but what I'm particularly feeling for this collective is you might be considering reaching out to other people for assistance with projects. Like I'm thinking, like I'm getting the energy of like musicians, you know, they don't do everything themselves, you know, they have people that, you know, pitch in, they get writing credits, they have producers, right, that help the song get made, the album get made, you know. That's just the energies that you might be seeking out guidance from people, or you might be learning from other people, or you might be asking for help in something that you maybe don't have the knowledge on yourself, to further that expansion here with the 3 of Wands. I'm also hearing stake your claim over new territory as well. If you're thinking of starting a new project, this could be a very good sign. But always with the 3 of Wands is we're not quite there yet. So the 3 of Wands follows into the 4 of Wands. The 4 of Wands is after the travelers go and find new lands, they set up base camp. But the 3 of Wands is we're not quite there yet. We're scoping out where the best place to build would be, right? So again, we're not quite in that action phase. 3 of Pentacles, we are planning, we are rewriting the blueprints. We aren't in that building phase yet, right? So just keep that in mind, right? I'm gonna pull one more card from this deck. It's going to be the Fool. Yes, so new beginnings. What is the energy that I'm receiving here with this? It's definitely deeper than just new beginnings. I think I'm hearing that you're letting your inner child run wild. Oh, that's a rhyme. That's a rhyme. Whatever it was in childhood that maybe, especially with the Hierophant here on the bottom, maybe was deemed unserious, maybe it was deemed, like I think especially in childhood, people can really like to dim creative lights or dim like highly spiritual children, and like kind of like mold them and be like, no, you have to be like this. And so I feel like this is kind of, you're stepping into an era of your life where it's like you're letting that part of you run wild, you're letting that part of you be seen, and it's going to lead to great prosperity here. That just fell off the top of the deck, the 9 of Pentacles. 9 of Pentacles is self-made abundance and self-made safety. And when I speak of abundance, particularly in this card, it doesn't even have to mean material abundance. I mean abundance in the sense of like a well-rounded life, in the sense where it's like, I am firm, I am stable, and I am happy, and I am healthy, right? Because abundance can be health. Abundance can be mental health, physical health. Abundance can be good food on the table. Abundance doesn't always have to be richness, right? Especially with the 9 of Pentacles card, like she's growing a garden that could feed her or could make her very wealthy, you know, if she decides to sell what she's growing. So, you know, keep that in mind. If you enjoyed today's reading and you resonate as being a part of my collective and you would like to hear more messages from me, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I will see you guys in the next message. Goodbye for now.